guys, so some new information just dropped about Apple's rumored AI search tool, and honestly, it's kind of not what anybody thought it was going to be. People have been thinking that it's going to be Apple's attempt to scurry away from having to rely upon Google's services, but some new information has come out that might actually prove the opposite. Let's get right into it. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and look at this article by The Verge. Apple's rumored AI search tool for Siri could rely on Google's Gemini AI model. So the feature that Apple is internally calling World Knowledge Answers, according to a report from Mark Gurman, who basically, I don't know how he gets the information that he gets, but somehow he's able to get the craziest information from within Apple, and he's usually correct. This new feature will allow users to search for information and receive AI-generated summaries based on results from the web. Its interface will also incorporate text, photos, videos, and points of interest, allowing it to challenge the AI-powered search features from companies like OpenAI and Perplexity. So, putting AI search into Siri is a part of Apple's delayed plans to upgrade the voice assistant with new features that will let it tap into your personal data and perform actions based on the content on your screen. And apparently, according to Mark Gurman, Apple and Google reached a formal agreement for Apple to test a Google-designed AI model for Siri's summaries, which is very interesting. Because the thing about it is that the whole Apple making their own search engine thing, it has kind of been thought that Apple was doing it namely to get away from Google. Namely, because they're going to start losing their search engine dominance soon, because there's two active antitrust cases against Google. They've both been found to be a monopoly in both cases. So the US government is going to restructure the way Google works. And as a result, they might lose their search engine dominance. And everybody kind of thought, and myself included, that this project would try to capitalize on it. But instead, they're apparently actually going ahead and using Google's Gemini model to summarize information from the web. Now, that being said, Apple does reportedly still plan to use its own AI models to search user data, which would probably be on the device, but it's still evaluating Anthropic's Claude and Gemini for Siri's planning function, apparently. So it might just be a multi-model hybrid thing, where Apple is using on-device Apple-made LLMs and Anthropic's Claude and Gemini for different tasks depending on what the user requests. That's about all I could really think by looking at it just from the offset, which is still a very weird thing. It's still a very weird setup. But this is interesting because genuinely, I all the news I saw about this was pointing towards the idea that Apple was doing this just to get away from Google and try to establish a search dominance, like market base with making their own search engine and then setting it as the default on Safari and everything like that, and trying to take the glory away from Google. But no, apparently, Google's actually going to be involved in this, which I think is actually quite interesting. Now, one thing that it does point out in this article is that this model won't be hosted by Google, and it will be running on Apple's servers. So it's not a model that Google is going to be running for Apple. It is a model that Google is going to make for Apple, and Apple will run on their own hardware and their own systems, which, yeah, I guess makes sense. This wouldn't be the first time that Google and Apple collaborate closely. There's been many other scenarios where they have, even though that they're basically complete polar opposite market competitors. But still, this is very interesting, and I'm quite curious to see what comes from this. So that is about it for today's video. Sorry for the lack of uploads for a little while. I've been a bit sick, if you can kind of tell by my voice. I've kind of come down with, I think, COVID or something. I'm not really sure. But more uploads are soon to come. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe. Take care, you guys. And remember, as always, to stay safe out there.